I haven't made a video in fucking forever. Went and found something stupid that'll piss me off and I can talk the most shit out of. A smart man talking about gravity. Let's listen to what he opens with and then I'll go into buoyancy and how that works. Because magical forces don't exist. There's just things they're not explaining correctly.
If you've seen the image of an apple falling on Newton's head and believe that you understood gravity, chances are that you couldn't be more wrong. You see, gravity remains one of the most misinterpreted disciplines of science. Although science can measure and predict gravity's effects, what gravity actually is on a subatomic level continues to be one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of our time. Even what we do understand about gravity's characteristics defies conventional expectations. The phenomenon...
He's gonna talk about this for 20 fucking minutes, and I was like, what's he gonna talk about? And I went and looked through a bunch of it, and I'm like, he's just gonna... It starts off his summary of gravity, which should only take like a few seconds to really explain, and maybe if he wants to throw numbers out there to try to throw jargon and bullshit, maybe a few big words that help his thing, which won't. Like... Buoyancy. What is it? Water? I like bring it to water. It's just water's inverted up. It's just air is the medium and not water. So helium balloons will float up. Birds can fly because they're lighter than everything else because density. If you're too heavy and dense, you won't float. That's why lead sinks. It's literally more. It's as simple as that. Instead of magical force holds you down, it can do all this magic shit, and he's gonna go in and say, like he keeps saying, it's nothing and something. How this is the kind of bullshit they peddle to you, and now we got virology, but like, because something can't be living and dead at the same time, and then you can't see it, but you can see it, but then you can't find it unless you pull it out of something dead with a whole bunch of processes, but you got an electron and microscope. Let's not go down that level, but fucking gravity
creates range from the bizarre to the downright fantastical. That gravity is responsible for your perception.
Show us a real fucking photo too, like, ooh, black holes are the darkest, deepest thing. It's just a hole that there's no stars in. It's not anything scary. It's not a black hole that's gonna eat everything up. It's just fear-mongering tools. That everything's gonna eat you up. You're gonna die from space. No, it's bullshit. Show us tangible proof. Well, you have to trust me, bro. Look at this photo. My microwave fucking telescopes won't tell me if they're all the penetration we do to them, because we totally went past the Van Allen belt. You mean the firmament?
Time, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The deeper you look, the more you realize that gravity isn't merely weird, it sometimes seems almost magical. As for the ongoing scientific mysteries, we obviously can't.
This is like hyping up. Actually, you could probably hype up the number 3 better than this. 3 can do more than gravity. Like, how the fuck is he going? The way he's like, he's not even that smart. He just reads scripts and he has a big nose.
Can't provide definitive answers since even the brightest minds in the world haven't cracked the code yet, and we're not up there with them. What we can tell you is that investigating gravity is enough to make you question reality, and perhaps even enough to make you throw away your blood.
Question reality. Does that make even fucking sense? Trust your fucking senses, people. You were given them. Like, I wish I had something. I need to get like something, I don't know, other gases. I wish I had my chemistry set. Because you can, like, boron's heavy. That you can literally pour it, pick it up and pour it, and it'll keep falling down to the ground. Helium, we all know, floats, and if you put them all in the thing with like a bunch of other shit, like you can get one of those weird oil lamps with like all the different kinds of liquids in them. That same idea is how everything works. Like, why is that not comprehensible? Like, you can't have something, it's a magical force that keeps rock, heavy things that fall down and sink. Yes, it's not a magical force that's keeping it down. It doesn't, that's not a viable rule.
Bloody clock. Gravity is inexplicably weak. Despite being the primary...
Like I said, it's so weak, man. Birds doesn't keep birds and balloons down. Let's just hear what he
Governing
says.
force of the universe on a large scale, gravity is almost inconceivably weak. As most are aware, gravity occurs whenever there's an accumulation of mass. The more mass an object has, the stronger its gravitational field becomes.
See how he's like, let's rehear what he said.
Despite being the primary governing force of the universe on a large scale, gravity is almost inconceivably weak. As most are aware, gravity occurs whenever there's an accumulation of mass. The more mass an object has, the stronger its gravitational field becomes.
In their theory, you could get so big you become your own orbit, and people use it to make fun of fat people and shit. Go nuts! It actually is funny if you think about it that way. Yeah, it's one way to use science. But like that, have you ever seen a rock so big that it pulls in all the other rocks? How big does the rock have to be before it pulls in other rocks? How much fucking rocks do you have to have before you can make a vacuum without a fucking seal or something holding it in? It just pulls in air. I've never seen a rock suck air.
The gravity produced by our entire planet is remarkably faint. Every time you pick up an object or stand up from a sitting position, you're effectively winning a tug of war against Earth's gravity, and it's not taking much effort at all. Keep in mind that this weak force is generated by a mass of 5.97 septillion kilograms. That's a number with 24 zeros behind it.
Wait, what? That's how much it is?
Keep in mind that this weak force is generated by a mass of 5.97 septillion kilograms.
This is what they do. They pick the biggest numbers so you don't think. Does that even make sense? I hate engineers and like scientists and shit nowadays because they get away with using jargon and thinking we're stupid and we don't pay attention to this shit. 5972. Let's think about what that adds up to. It's not that rhyme too. 21. June number. What are the odds of that? Because all the zeros, it's 21 it adds up to. Get fucked.
That's a number with 20.
Everybody wants to add 666. It's not always
On the other
666.
hand,
It's always
Earth's gravity
18,
is
21
powerful
and
enough to
shit.
keep the moon in orbit,
It's
while
like,
the moon's gravity, despite its significantly
13,
smaller
it might be
size,
13.
is influential enough to drag the
72.
ocean in its
They hate
wake,
that, so they pick
creating
27.
tides. Tides result from the interplay between Earth's gravity and the moon's gravity, yet a contradiction remains. Is gravity so weak?
There is absolutely no truth behind the moon and gravity and bullshit. Controlling. First off, they tell us the tides are controlled by the moon. That's bullshit. Now he's saying gravity controls the tides. That's not true. That's all wind and atmospheric. That is what do they call that shit? When wind blows, the fancy word. Fuck it. Just go with that for now. I'm not fucking playing word games. My ADD. But like, there's air blows on a surface. It's good, and it's water or liquid. It's gonna cause motion. Yes, that's not gravity pushing down. That's air circulating, usually in a cycle, some kind of system, a pattern.
As to be almost negligible or so
Coordinate
strong that
shape.
it can shape the entire solar system. In one of its many perplexing characteristics, gravity is both nearly inconceivably weak and at the same time by far the most prevalent force in the known universe.
No, it's retarded. Just thinking that. If that was the case, why does the thing have a terminal velocity? Like, you can only fall so fast. That's because of buoyancy. It's like you can only rise up from the ground if you're from the bottom going up. Or when you sink, there's a there's a velocity for when you fall down. When the mass, the density of the object, when it's sinking down, it fucking has a critical rate too, how fast it will sink or keep sinking, for how far it goes. Because there's only a certain density of when you could go to things. Fucking dude, it's the same thing. It's just inverse. As above, so below. It runs the world. It's alchemy.
The best way to
It's
fully
not
appreciate
gravity.
what
See how
gravity
it's all
is,
play on
how
words.
it fits into
Retarded.
the grand scheme of the cosmos is by comparing it to the other fundamental forces: electromagnetism, the weak nuclear force, and the strong nuclear force. Although gravity isn't a force in nature by the same description, we'll get to that.
It's not a force by its own description. Yet they keep calling it one. It's like when they call theories actual science or actual proof. A theory is only that, a theory. There's no proof behind it. There's only a thought, and maybe I call it a dream. Honestly, it's not even a thought because there's no actual proof in actual experiment because you can't have like half the time prove half the shit. Well, gravity you can literally. You want to prove gravity? It's just density, like I said, buoyancy again. Like I said, I hate that. Up is just down. No, it's not that simple. It's just, well, it is that simple, but not that simple. It's, I keep going back to it. Instead of thinking water, think air. The idea is the medium. Like, I don't want to make a problem because a lot of people that aren't good with thinking like that will get confused. But, like, the medium plus the density of the mass that's involved. Other things can play into, like, attribute. Of course, we all know that, especially how rate of fall. Like, look at squirrels and shit and baby animals. They fall slower because they're literally perfect when designed by nature. They fall because they're so furry and it just absorbs everything. It's a shocker. It's not because of gravity. It's the density of how the fur is. And they even say that. The density of the fur is what stops the actual... What's the word it's called? When you're actually... It slows drag or something. I think it's like it pulls down on you. It's stopping the flow of how you're going. It's like putting like a parachute under your wings, but the parachute's kind of broken, but it's still got to stop the drag, like stop you from falling as fast.
Particular mind-boggler later.
I feel like I'm explaining this.
Starting
I shouldn't have
with
to.
the strong
We're smart.
nuclear force,
We have
the
eyes.
strongest in nature by far, it is the force that binds protons and neutrons
It teaches
together.
us kids for a reason.
Protons carry a positive...
Now it's going into this. Either they're whatever like proton thing they're talking about right now. Let's go back and just really hear that so I can hear that.
Eta. Starting with the strong nuclear force, the strongest in nature by far, it is the force that binds protons and neutrons together. Protons carry a positive electrostatic charge from electrons and are naturally repelled from one another under normal circumstances according to the laws of electromagnetism. However, the strong nuclear force overcomes this natural repulsion, allowing these particles to bind and form more complex structures. On a deeper level, this process is regular.
Things are either charged. It's always usually light, but radiation does pretty good too, like radioactivity, because it was a photons. All you need is photons or ionization or some shit. There's a couple other ones too, but like that's not due to gravity at all. If anything, it's like electromagnetism and shit on that. Like that's completely like either that or some kind of thermal or solar irradiation. I don't want to call it irradiation. Radiation, like it is radiation. It's just the transfer of heat, man. It's all heat transfer half the time. Like they scaremonger us with how that works, like the nuclear shit and all that. It's not that bad. They used to cover themselves with it all the time, and then they point to a few girls that were eating paint that lost their jaws, and then those photos all look retarded. And there's a reason they didn't get paid. You're licking paint, you fucking tool. Like, oh, it had rhodium in it. Okay, they're rubbing on their balls, and no one's balls were falling off. If anything, people's dicks were bigger. Like, fuck is going on there?
Regulated by gluons, which mediate interactions between quarks. Most importantly for our comparison, the strong nuclear force is about...
Hold on, let me go back on that nuclear thing I was talking about. Like, the only time it really can get bad is if when it's... Think of like dust, and it gets into like thin material like your lungs. That's where it becomes... and that's an if too, man. That's a real strong if. It depends on what it is. Like, is it cesium or something like that, or like what is going on? Like, because it could be thorium and nothing happens. You're just at the sand. You're just at the beach. You inhale some sand. You might have to go get like that expunged from your lung, or you might have to cough it the fuck out like a normal, like it would happen. Like, that's not how this works. It's either electromagnetism, solar, or thermal, which a lot of times, especially if it's or ionization too. There's
about
microwaves.
100 million trillion times stronger than gravity.
that wouldn't make sense. Then everything would get sucked towards whatever that counter. You can't have a counteraction. And what she's gonna say, that's there would be their as above so below to this, because they're gonna be like they come in a like a homogeneity and they're gonna work together.
Quite strong. Despite its immense strength, it only operates on a subatomic scale, having a range limited to the nucleus of an atom. The weak nuclear force is responsible for radioactive decay.
Show me, like, if you go look at pictures of fucking atoms, they're just cymatics. Everything, like they say, is just a frequency. Depending on what direction you're looking at it, you might be looking at it from the top or the bottom. Sometimes they have unificity, sometimes they're actually a little chaotic. And it's mostly like isotopes, but if you're going to be looking, they're so, like, that's like the periodic table is a joke nowadays, because all those things at the bottom are like, a lot of them only last for like a few seconds, or they just dissipate in the air and they decay right away, or they immediately blow up. Like, a lot of them honestly seem like they're made up and they just can't tell what the fuck they made. They just kind of made an explosion happen and they're like, oh, I made trace chemicals afterwards, and there's an irradiation thing going on, my Geiger counter's going off. Of course there is. You fucking blew something up. Like a huge thermal reaction happened, you jackass. A bunch of photons are being blown out everywhere.
Part in both nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. It's mediated by particles called W and Z bosons, and is about 1 million times weaker than the strong nuclear force, operating at an even shorter range. Yet, despite even having the word weak in its name, the weak nuclear force is still stronger than gravity by 10 to the 25th power.
That doesn't even make sense.
25
so what do you call that?
The law 10 weaker than the strong nuclear force, operating at an even shorter force.
It's like, what? That doesn't make sense, bro.
Is
you just have a heavy magnet pulling from whatever the fucking iron black rock that fucking we can't go to. Like, whatever points to north, that goes to. Like, what the fuck is he talking about? This is retarded.
The one that we are most familiar with, given its tangible role in our everyday
lives. They literally just
lives.
put words together like sci-fi stuff. Look, he showed... He put a fucking... Oh, I forget the name of the goddamn things. Dude, happy fucking New Year. This is hilariously retarded. I haven't made a video, and I'm not... Like, I keep noticing the sci-fi clips when he starts rambling on, and then he throws nonsense together, and he just hopes you're like, yeah, that's... That is right. Yes, you're correct. That makes sense. You gave me numbers and then you put words together. Science.
Rooted in the inherent properties of electrons, which are mediated by photons. When harnessed, these forces give rise to modern wonders such as electricity. Although electromagnetism is weaker than the strong nuclear force, it is the only other force that operates on a grand scale.
A nuclear force. They're just glorified boilers, bro. And then if he's talking about explosions, show me an actual nuclear explosion that's not like a bunch of like photos of the sun being zoomed in on with like a little bit of dust cloud from a couple TNT going off, or a lot of TNT going off. Because the more you do, the bigger. You can just make a mushroom cloud. All you gotta do is make a boom and a big circle and make sure it all goes off at once. And then the sky goes, nope. And then it goes up, and then it goes nope again because the downward flow, and then you get that mushroom effect. And then they film it. That's all how those experiments happened when they blew up the nukes, and they show us with the I am the destroyer bullshit. Like, Oppenheimer is a dirty little liar, made a whole little theater show because he was a little theater boy. Oh, I'm a scientist. Yeah, he knew a lot of shit, but like he also had a lot of friends that knew a lot of bullshit with cameras. Like, all you gotta do is, if you go look at all that old, what do they call that fucking footage? Just go look at it. I can go look at it right now. I'm a fucking person with the internet. I had the TDS. Promise myself I wouldn't do this, but I'm doing it anyway. Like, let's just go watch all of them. Let's watch all of them. It's just, let's go with these before I go to the one I was talking about. See how they edit them and they add these bleed effects? They know how they work. They told everybody they couldn't look at it, so how you gotta believe it? It's just a normal explosion. All explosions can look like this if you just detonate them the right way. That's all they show you. Show me the aftermath. It's just like...
Since their invention in the 1940s. Nope,
I don't want someone from now talking about it. I want, like, the old footage they used to... You can use... Watch this. It's just little sticks.
H-minus 10 seconds.
Watch some of the things. There's going to be like a car that pops up and stuff. A lot of weird shit in these footage. That's a little model. And then they show you fake little B-roll. It's a movie. They're just using scene presentation they learned through the times at the time. So they show a bunch of guys put on stupid goggles, watching it. Why would they even be near it? Wouldn't you want to be on the other island that's supposedly not blowing it up and just watch it from there? Now watch everything blow up. Okay, wait for it. Why is the camera still rolling? How is the camera rolling? What is filming right now? Like, how? How is this working? The camera's perfectly intact. Still film. The film, which is made of sucrose, because they didn't use normal film we started using towards, like, our times. This is made of, like, flammable tape, like, scotch tape. This is the worst shit. It's like what ping pong balls are made out of. And they're filming, and the footage is fine. Not a fucking... Nothing's wrong with it. Those little hairs are normal for old footage. Because they clip it together and shit. It's little dollhouses. They're like this big, like Star Wars stuff. This is where a lot of those ideas, that's what they were doing in a lot of the old movies. They would do that, so little miniatures. You would think it's such a powerful blast that house would have completely blown up, right? Watch it. It didn't completely go anywhere. Damn good house. That roof is still on and the base is still there.
Subscribe to...
Want to laugh your ass off? Here's a little bonus feature. Zar Bomba. These are funny footage. This is what the 80s they showed the fucking Russians. Like, yep, nukes. We made a super nuke. It's bigger than all the nukes. It's like cartoon drawings. Watch it. It's all watch how it glitches and stuff, and how everything looks super fake because it is. This is literally like early CGI or something, or like they're literally just layering things together like an old film. Look how fake that looks. They told them in the 80s this was real. Put your head between your legs and get under the desk, kids. Or the Americans are gonna come. We're gonna nuke everything. Because fuck, dude. They're fucking psychos and they'll kill themselves and everybody else. Because that's what commies. This is what the people with the big noses all do. I'm sick of calling them all names. They've been different names throughout history. They're all fucking rich fucks that don't belong having money. Where's that video I had open? Back to gravity.
Making it highly visible in the physical world. In fact, electromagnetism is stronger than gravity by...
Gleason? Hold on. I spell for shit. I'm dyslexic as fuck. You know that. Oh. No, not new culture. Cooler. Where's his name? Edward Gleason, I think his name was, if I'm correct. I can't remember his name. The dude used to swim in the vats over and prove the point I'm proving that like it's not as deadly as they say. Like he would swim in the pools that are in the fucking labs, power plants. It is safe. It's just you don't want to go in there when the spent rods are in there. It's probably gonna be very hot. But like, it's uranium water, dude. You can drink it. It's not gonna kill you. It's irradiated, yeah, but it's a lot safer than fucking putting your food in the fucking microwave.
10 to the 36th.
That's crazy even to say that sentence, but it is true.
Demonstration of just how powerful it can be and the vast scale on which it operates. Just take a look at a compass. Regarding its range, electromagnetism shares a rather...
It's the type of radiation you're exposed to too. Like, what kind of particles are you being hit with? Because like, there's certain ones, like a lot of them just hit our skin and they don't bother us. But there's a few that penetrate and they can do shit. But like, they tell us this, but show me fucking real proof that's not from like people I don't trust, like the CIA, the Russian army, fucking anything. They always just give us stupid shit like that weird death experiment in the ball. That's not how those rocks work. You can touch them together. They're found in the fucking ground together. What do you think when you're mining it? You magically click them together and you're all going to die? Like, it's stupid. It's honestly stupid. And if you find any uranium, for example, you can fucking find gold right next to it. That's why they don't want us finding uranium. It's an excuse for poor people to not find gold.
a profound characteristic.
It's
of
better than finding it
gravity,
near quartz.
But we'll refer
Like,
to
you'll
that in
find
just
more
a
gold
moment.
near uranium
Now,
than
getting
fucking
back to
quartz most of the
gravity,
time.
consider
They don't put that on
everything that
Google
we've
and shit.
discussed so far,
That shit you
keeping
had to
in
hear from
mind
people.
how much weaker gravity is than
Most,
every
like-
other force of nature. And now appreciate that it is the force responsible for creating galaxies, forming solar systems, and ultimately governing life
Keeping all
as
this
it exists
magical star
on
bullshit
Earth.
together to
Without
make the
gravity,
movies
it
sell.
is safe to say that the universe would consist merely of particles floating in a featureless void, lacking any physical structure, and by extension, lacking the natural processes required to create life. A key factor to remember is that although gravity is weak, its effect is unceasing. Over long periods, even the weakest force can produce profound consequences, as demonstrated by the
This magical force is so chaotic, it causes so much stuff to cause you fear and dystopia. Because you hyperfixate, like, this is what autism does. They read a bunch of sci-fi novels, like, they really brainwashed the 80 kids, and we got fucking dumped on it. Don't get me wrong, I used to love fucking watching space movies. Now I hate them. Because it's just like, I can't even turn my brain off and watch them, because it's just like they're using this to brainwash other people because they're so, like, sci-fi struck. They're like, I believe this so much. They're not lying to me. Like, everything's so true. Like, why the fuck would they... If it is this... How can something be good and bad? How something can be good and bad. I get that. Why are you trying to be so profound about just landing on your feet? What's the word I'm looking for? This is what happens when you go to college and you need to write a 500-word essay on something that should only be typed out in one sentence. Like, this is ridiculous.
transformation of that
If you're gonna
featureless
make your
void
point
into
across.
the intricate universe that we see today. It all began with singular particles clumping together, which in turn created stronger gravitational forces that dragged in more mass.
Like I said, how big does a rock have to be before it starts pulling in other rocks? That doesn't make sense to me. Have you ever seen a rock? And their excuse is going to be, oh, well, it's attached to the planet, so it can't feel that kind of pull. No, that doesn't make sense. And then there's magnetite, or what the fuck it's called, magnetic bullshit. And magnets, bro. Like, just think about magnets. That completely shits on this whole idea. Oh, what are they, anti-gravity magical shit? I hate that word, anti-gravity. It's just, what's the one for? There's actually a good word for this. It's like transitional space, something. I've read the actual term. It just means you can navigate up, down, left, and right without, like, any consequences because you're in the air. It's like how that pill works. There's that Asian lady that Chinese people stole from us that supposedly afterwards we started seeing the triangle pyramids float around ones. Like, I don't believe in UFOs. That's all our technology. They're just testing it out. The government's main idea is to keep us stupid with the technology we have, make us feel happy with it. That's why they keep reiterating the same bullshit into things we don't want and making everything worse. This is all on purpose so they can be more. Their goal was originally 60 years. They're more than 100 years or plus, dude. They got micro cities, massive cities, macro cities, I should say, under the ground and stuff where these think tanks happen. And me got them thinking, oh, they're in Antarctica and doing all this stupid shit. Like, we're all naive. We keep eating the shit we're sped food. Like, we need to just think of logical things. Like, to fight these corporations. Like, we have control of everything. We are the people. We have the mass. What the fuck is this thinking process? And we teach this to children. Why do we teach this to children? That's the main part. Why do we teach most of this stuff to children? Why aren't we teaching them arithmetic, mathematics, and social studies and stuff, like actual social studies, like actual history about not going from one country to another country and telling us that that's our country, because like they all start us off at fucking in Britain and Europe and stuff, and then they magically bring us over to America saying like no one was here. There's so much shit about the shit we know, and there's so much shit they hide from us, let alone what that Smithsonian's always hiding. They love going in first and stealing all the good shit. So we can't. So then they give us they pedal back out that fake narrative to fit whatever fucking going, because they don't want it to go back out, clear all the books out, and bring back all the old ones and say that, oh, we were wrong, because that is the number one thing big nosed people do not like doing. They don't like admitting wrong and doing bad deeds. And yes, teaching people wrong things is bad deeds. This is bad deeds. Apples falling on random weird, like, gay men from, like, the fucking time period well before ours that we don't care about. Well, it was a cool time, but, like, I don't give a fuck half the shit he, like, oh, he made little flying machines. I feel like he was probably an autist and we're just not allowed to see the other guys who made cool shit, like, the shit that got built. Like, he just, like, yeah, I made it. Let me paint a wall or something. Like, dude, I'm confusing a couple of people. Wow, it's my excuse. Ignore that one.
This endless cycle ultimately allowed for the formation of stars, planets, solar systems, and galaxies. It all took an unimaginably long period of time, or at least unimaginably long from a human perspective. We're the ones doing the imagining. The shaping of the universe is ongoing.
I like that phrasing.
Dragged in more mass. This endless cycle ultimately allowed for the formation of stars, planets, solar systems, and galaxies. It all took an unimaginably long period of time, or at least unimaginably long from a human perspective. We're the ones doing the imagining.
We're the ones doing the imagining, because it's in your fucking head. Like, this is why we go to school and they go to shul. Like, the year is not fucking like 2005. It's like 5,000 and something. Like, it's supposed to be. It's almost 6,000, bro. Like, this is... I want to jump ahead because I want to get to all the other shit. I keep stopping so much because it's just... There's... How many views in this? 600,000 views. He's not getting the views he used to get, but like... What do the comments say? Time is relative. It passes more slowly when you are with your... What the fuck? Does... Dude, these people, none of the things pertain to this. This is like or autisms. Why is people complaining about sound so much? I have this thing at full volume and nothing's been wrong at all. I don't care about that. What the fuck? Does that person not know how, like, GPSs work? There's no time dilation. Time dilation is a bullshit made up thing. Like, time is relative. You can't, you go away from me, all the way over there, I check my watch, you check your watch, same time. Oh, we have to get really, really far before it becomes a weird thing. No. No, it's not. Time is relative to the person they're with. Just because you're coming back, you're going to travel back. And then it's going to be magically 3 years at my time. And it's going to be magically the same time for you. That wouldn't happen. Even with distance. It's just the time coming back. And then we're both going to check our watches when you got back. And I'll be like, bro, it took you a long time. But watches are both the same. There's no reason the time would have changed. They're like, oh, time would have changed for me because gravity makes me age? What? No. That doesn't make sense. That it's not even how they proposed the idea at all. And now, like I said, it's just where the rest of the video gets into fucking, like, cupcakes and puppy dogs bullshit. It's completely weirded out. It's milking a shit like a 500 essay.
Is ongoing as we speak. If you think of gravity as an invisible force identifiable only by its effects in your physical world, you might be surprised to learn that gravity's fingerprints are visible on every level of the universe. From protostars...
Why can't we measure it? We can measure the air. That can be measured. And because of the air abundancy, because it's the medium, we live on land, fish live in water. That's how it works. We see it ground level because that's how that works. Like, we go in the water, we go to water level, we float because we're people. We're made of air and stuff and fluids and buoyancy. back to buoyancy, because this is all buoyancy. They show you these photos too, bro. They're all fake photos. I used to fucking make, like, I don't have Adobe. I've been trying to use Affinity. I could probably learn how to do that and start doing it again. But, like, all these are composites. And then they say, oh, their excuses now is, oh, they're supposed to be stylized renditions of what they give us from a computer. Then it's not a real thing. It's what the thing is teaching you. Oh, it's because a spectrograph is pointing at something. Bro, what is it pointing at? They tell you it's telling you that. Is it even going further enough? This is one of the main parts of science people underlook. Are the tools we're using even measuring the thing they're telling us? And there's a lot of tools over time they've either gotten rid of because they didn't like how accurate they were, they didn't want us using them, or there's tools that they give us. They're just horribly inaccurate, and they've already gotten rid of them over time, but like they did it to troll us, to make us retarded. Like handing out pamphlets and stuff was a thing. Okay, to brainwash a lot of people in a town. They would do that a lot in the ghettos, if you get what I mean.
Journey to becoming full-fledged stars, to the contours of black
broker,
holes, to the very
more
structure
slump.
of galaxies
Or the colored
and
man
solar
that was
systems.
down on his luck hasn't
Despite
made it
being
yet.
almost inconceivably weak,
was
there
a
is
different
simply
time then.
no escaping gravity
avoid
or
the red
defying
doors.
its effects. Structure of galaxies and solar systems. Despite being almost inconceivably weak, there is simply no escaping gravity or defying its effects. That
Show me something that can prove it's real.
said, you might be struggling to understand how gravity operates on both extremely small and vast scales, especially knowing that the same rules govern both planets and entire galaxies. So there's another mind-bending aspect of gravity to consider. Like electromagnetism, its reach is, by all accounts, infinite.
They love throwing out the Ouroboros, like the double Ouroboros. That's what that is. They just want to throw that infinity at you. Put it in your face.
So there's a
Everything
frequently
has an
drawn
end.
comparison
Nothing is
between
infinite.
the words
Even
of
the greatest
fictional
gods
Jedi
fall.
Master Obi-Wan
Like,
Kenobi
yeah.
and the real
As
description
dogs.
of gravity. Obi-Wan explains that the Force is, quote, an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together. If you replace all living things with all objects with mass, well, you have a remarkably fitting description of gravity. While Obi-Wan never specified the reach of the Force, one can only assume that, like...
See, they love it's the wording, it's phrasing, and how you do it. You're captivating an autistic army of people who love Star Wars and space movies and sci-fi. Like, I can't even watch Stargate anymore. I only like the episodes when they like do the government ones. None of that shit is entertaining that much anymore. I'm honestly, if I watch any of it, because I'm looking for fucking like weird episodes and weird things they say. And it's like, what the fuck did you just say? That's oddly specific. Could that pertain? When was this episode made? Holy shit, it's from that time period.
Like gravity, its influence is boundless. Now,
Predictive programming, they used to like, I was explaining this yesterday, to people about like the commercials. The commercials are what brainwash us. That's what really, the programming programs us. The brainwashing and like shit that really fucks us up. It makes like serial killers, I feel, like the school shooters. Because they used to be a lot more when I was younger. And there used to be a lot more back in the day. They kind of perked up. But you notice it's when television started paying more advertisement. Like radio didn't have this problem because you could do weird shit through the audio, but like you couldn't do the kind of shit that like you could do with the television. And if you pay enough advertisement, and it does, I don't say it's everybody. It's not meant for everybody. That's the point. They want it to be random. They want some random schluck to be the one that pulled the trigger, do something awful, and they want it to be as random and sporadic as possible. So what they do is they have them play in weird order. That's why they're always on commercials, even back into the 60s or 60s, 50s when they started playing them on TV and all that, like that way they were. Even we know them for like how they did the subliminal messaging, but they would play them in a certain sequence. They had certain music. We're back in that same kind of thing because they did weird shit. They were in the brain, like talking the MK Ultra that, but they do is they play the music, is that, and then they play the sequence of the show, play more of the music. So depending on what the show was and what the trauma thing they were trying to imprint in your brain without you realizing it, is depending on what the episode's probably going to be on. That's when they usually intensify it. So like a lot of these schools, like people are probably like I said. Usually, when you heard about it back in the day, there are just crazy people watching too much television. Charlie Manson just watches too much TV. Like he just sits there in jail watching TV. That was a joke. Like it's that's why they're trying to now, since we're not watching television anymore, they've been trying for like the last 10 years trying to force inject commercials and advertisement into everything to the point where they're locating us and personalizing it to us, which that right there now we can get with oddly specific programming to people. We look at it and go, hey, they're looking at our privacy. But hey, these people also know how to use blue light, UV, ultraviolet light. Like our things are blowing at our face. Actually, I should have that face down. Actually, down there on the floor. But like, you could do so much. You can look up videos of like how many times these phones are flashing while you're using it. And I mean, the main question a lot of us all ask, seen other videos and other people discuss this, and I've talked about it in my brain. What apps are they on? Like, what are they watching to make that happen? Because that's definitely, blah, 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 that's what subliminally doing. Like, the lights do the same shit. We slow down this shit. Like, they're probably pumping it through the fucking thing. Like, there's a bunch of combinations. But the main thing is always advertisement. That's why the main validity, they tell us, oh, it's to make money. Does anyone really watch a commercial and go, I'm going to buy that product? Most of the time, we don't watch it and buy a product unless it's like the dude from, like, ShamWow, like Billy Mays, like any of that bullshit. We don't trust the product unless we see it used right. And even then, if it's a fake commercial, we don't trust it unless we know and see someone else by word of mouth. That's why you don't see advertisements for like toilet seats and fucking, like, what's the other shit I was thinking off the top of my head? Microwaves, fucking, there's a couple of things. I hate microwaves so much. But like, there's another reason why you don't actually see microwave commercials, because they would have to disclose at the end of the commercial, like fucking pill commercials, all the weird shit they do. That's another one that really does all the weird shit, because you'll see purples, ethereal color, like a weird white purple, like purple.
It's incredibly difficult to
and that color purple, that's the new one, and they put orange. Butterflies is also another thing everybody knows that. It's all programming stuff, and they learned this all in the 60s, and now they've been, dude, they got everybody either in like early 2000s to eat a bunch of ecstasy, and now in the early 2010s got that same shit. Now we're in the 20s, either they had some Spunion babies, and they're a bunch of libtards now because they took too much E. They really wanted it so bad that they go the same way it went in the UK here, but it didn't, because we have normal people that didn't take E. I can't say I'm not one of them, but like, it is what it is, and it's a good thing we have them, because a lot of shit didn't change, and they didn't kill off all the old people. That was a whole bracket too. They don't take E, but like, they need to libertize the actual proletariat to make them socialites want to give up status to and stuff like that, or convince the other people that are even more beneath them, the poorer. It gets worse. Like, we should bring back literacy, guys. I'm getting way off topic. Gravity.
grasp the concept of infinity. Most people tend to dismiss it as a fantastical idea, since very few things in reality have no limits. Yet the range of gravity is, for all intents and purposes, described as extending to infinity. This means that every object with mass exerts a gravitational effect on every other object with mass across the known universe. When viewed on this scale, it is truly mind-boggling to comprehend just how powerful gravity is and how fundamental it is in the structure.
You can't call something weak and powerful. Cosmically infinite, yet so infinitesimal. Like, this is ridiculous. These people, what's it on for? It's the type of methrin. These people think inward, like everything is inward. They want you to think like down is up and up is down. Like, they think at some point, if you went in the sky and you went up, if you managed to go all the way up, you wouldn't just eventually, I don't know, get to a point and it would stop, and then you would fall. No, they think you go up, up and up, and then eventually it'll turn around, and then you'll get pulled the other way. And then, since you're a piece of mass like a rock, you could probably attract other rocks out in that void, I guess. Like, The void thing really pisses me off. I hate the only space is between people's ears for believing in that, and I love using that phrase.
Of every object in existence. That being said, a bit more explanation is required. A key factor to consider is that gravity, like everything else in the known universe, cannot travel faster than the speed of light. Furthermore, the strength of gravity decreases exponentially the further we move from the body of mass.
So we put rock. So is the rocks pulling the things away, or are the rocks falling away? Can they make up their mind? Because we're supposedly spinning around this ball that's keeping us stuck to it. Wouldn't we be getting pulled towards the bigger rocks in their scenario? Because they keep telling us that before. But now we magically float away from this one. And the little rock that's attached to us doesn't move at all. It just stays sync. And mind you, in their model, they're not showing the moon. Oh, it's that little weird dot thing is the moon. Then that's not relative to the size we're talking about.
Of gravity becomes almost non-existent at a certain distance. As far as speed is concerned, it's well documented that both the light from
it's well documented. A bunch of fucking eggheads fucking put down on paper. I seen it. You seen it with your eyes, bro? No, I seen it with my microwave telescope. And if you look at how microwave telescopes work, you'll believe me, that's not a fucking telescope. It's not. There's no visual. It's just a really fancy fucking beam that shoots beams in the sky. It's a nice excuse to, like, I don't know, shoot beams down that are high frequency and maybe beam them back down because it's banging off the fucking, as they would say, the ionosphere, but the fucking actual fucking firmament. It works just like early HARP. That's what they figured out with those. That's why they put them everywhere. Because they all use them in unison. Because when we end up rising up and blowing up and doing shit like the ones we think we know, we're never going to think to look at the giant death beams hanging in the metropolises that have them. That's literally going to be a weapon at some point. People are dumb. They call it Lucifer, the one the Catholic Church owns. Why would they even have a giant telescope named Lucifer? They're going to hell.
But you travel at the same speed, arriving at Earth in around 8 minutes. Taking this into account, the gravitational influence of any mass will only travel a set distance in its lifetime, and it's important to remember that bodies of mass tend not to simply vanish, but instead transform into different forms.
These fucking people with their rebirths. When do... So, a mass will eventually get to a point from another mass and transform. Let's rehear them.
Almost non-existent at a certain distance. As at the same speed, arriving at Earth in around 8 minutes. Taking this into account, the gravitational influence of any mass will travel a set distance in its lifetime, and it's important to remember that bodies of mass tend not to simply vanish, but instead transform into different forms.
Why? Why would it happen? What caused it? I put a rock on the ground. When's it going to turn to something else? They tell us rocks turn into other rocks. I don't believe that. Only time rocks turn into other rocks is either through a lot of pressure, usually a lot of pressure, or through a lot of heat. Or both together, because usually a lot of pressure brings a lot of heat. Nothing just transforms out of nowhere. That is a retarded thing to say. Again, these same people that believe in this gobbledygook believe he came from a fucking primordial ooze. Fucking very Kvorgian.
Regarding strength,
fucking Cronenberg.
Gravity operates
based on
the square law, meaning that the gravitational pull weakens in proportion to the square of the distance. In simpler terms, every time you double the distance from a mass, the overall strength of the gravity it produces drops off by a factor of 4.
Okay. With this theory, if we were to even leave the planet at all, one of the many forces we would have to count for to fight would be gravity. Okay. And you're going to say, oh, you're stupid. Oh, of course we have to because it's the rock. No, but when you get past your weird fucking, like, ionosphere and all that bullshit, all the layers of that nonsense, you get through the Van Allen belt and all that shit I'm going to call it for you guys. You're going to have to fight that even more because if you see how far they are, And if it's that weak, how is the moon stuck to us? Especially in the way it is. I think it's these are the T. It's why it's facing to us. But it's like, why the fuck? This doesn't make sense. Because by this logic, the moon should have drifted away. And then they're like, show you this, like, oh, the moon's a very special thing. It doesn't. No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. And then they're going to be like, it's aliens. Ancient alien comes out, guy, hair's all fucked up.
When this principle is applied across the vast
Dude, it's so
distances of the
stupid.
universe, the force never truly reaches zero. However, it eventually becomes so minuscule as to be just...
Like I said, how big does an object have to be? Because in the beginning of this thought experiment, I'm going to call it, he said, a bunch of little rocks. One little rock attracted another little rock, and that little rock attracted another rock, and then that rock, and then it kept getting bigger and bigger, and then, like he said, what? Then what happens when you have a bunch of rocks touching each other? What? Eventually, will there be enough pressure and heat to make them what? Into a ball? Okay, those are now transforming. It's smelting. It's like... When do you put a lot of rocks together, unless you make the force? Especially if you're in a fucking vacuum that's pulling every other way. How does this work in a vacuum? That doesn't make sense with the math you're giving me and the science you're using.
negligible.
I'm not a fucking idiot when it comes to this. Like, what the
body
fuck?
of mass in any given location that has the most tangible effect, overcoming smaller nearby bodies of lesser mass as well as larger bodies that are further away. It is, according to these rules, that galaxies and solar systems...
But then they tell us the space between like an objects and shit is infinitesimal. Okay. Where's the next body that's next to us? I forget what it is. It's literally planet. There's nothing next to us, right? Where's these other rocks? And they're like, you're going to drift around. Okay, let's believe in that idea. When you tap another rock, oh, you're supposed to be going relative to the speed. So in their theory, it's like the thing that they are being castrated because the explosion's happening. What caused the explosions? Okay. Oh, it was a star exploding. That's what really caused a lot of these things. Okay. What's a star? A bunch of nuclear explosions. We already went over the nuke thing. Like, and eventually, let's go with their math and say how they work the way they think they say it works. Okay. That would eventually burn out every time, and it wouldn't burn out by blowing up. Because if it's constantly a bunch of little explosions, it would burn out like a, what are those little things? The little snakes that you burn. It'd like grow, and then I wouldn't even grow though. If anything, it'd be like charcoal. It'd decay towards itself. Oh, because and first off, if it's the only thing producing the fucking gravitational pull, or whatever you're saying, but they're like, oh, it's supernova or some bullshit. When does something? They're like, oh, it meets critical mass. But when does that happen? Why would a bunch of explosions that are tiny magically become big? Oh, they're magically growing. Okay, they're growing? Why are they growing? How are they growing? What's feeding it? They're in a vacuum. There's no thing feeding it. Oh, it's core. Show me proof. If you're telling me it's a bunch of explosions and the whole thing is a ball of fire, that can't be a thing. Oh, it's burning off its own shit. It will have a finite thing and it will burn off like anything else, like a propane tank running out. If you lit it from the tip and just let it fucking bleed. Do you see explosion afterwards? No. You can get the hissing thing, but then again, you're closing the valve probably when you're doing it. If you leave the valve wide open, let it rip and let it bleed and go, and yeah, no, that's not how... Oh, you're going to say because we're not in a vacuum? But then again, you are in a vacuum. So how is the fire happening? You can't have fire in a vacuum. Oh, well, it's producing its own blah, blah, blah. None of those things give off... well, you're going to say hydrogen next. And I'm like, hydrogen, okay. That will burn out like I just said with the fucking propane ideas. Like... and you're in a vacuum. So it's... you can't have fire in a vacuum. You can't. You need atmosphere. It's just like for propulsion. You can't even use ionization rockets and shit and blah, blah, blah. You can't push off nothing. So, like, either if space travel and shit and gravity and all that stuff was real, in order to make it work, we got one push and we better make it count. Because you can't push in space. There's plenty of people actually online doing the vacuum experiment with like ionized thing. I think actually the science guy, one of the science dudes who's pretty good, famous, does it now too.
Take shape regardless of each individual field of gravity having a limitless range. Now, at this point, you're wondering what effect the gravity of your body has on other humans, or what effect it might have on the universe at large. Consider that although your body does produce gravity, the effect is virtually immeasurable. We can estimate this effect based on established formula.
By logic. His logic, not mine. Hear what you said.
What effect it might have on the universe at large. Consider that although your body does produce gravity, the effect is virtually immeasurable. We can estimate this effect.
Your body doesn't produce gravity. It produces an electromagnetic fucking toroid. Your body is made of water. Water can be moved by magnets too. My brain. I'm trying to... You're going to tell me this magical force that keeps magical rocks, that sticks them magically together and magically puts them together more and more and more and more, and they have them all coming at the right rate and everything's just going to happen perfectly, and then pressure, and then a planet. And then that one's going to, I don't know what, become a star somehow. There's so much. And they're like, oh, there's just different kinds of, special kinds of ores and stuff. We have having elements we haven't got to. Bro. No, that's bullshit. Most of anything we find, they say it falls from the sky. It's like sky glass and a whole bunch of shit. There's just a bunch of shit they don't let us see. Like they tell us about those random unstable isotopes and consider the elements. That sounds like a compound. Why would you consider that isotope? Because a bunch of eggheads said they're shitty microwave telescopes and other nonsensible, probably not working. It's like the Hydrogen Collider. Why do you need to spin a particle and see what it does? Especially with the things they're saying you do. Why can't you be able to spin it really fast in a small ring? Like, you ever, taking a turn, when you go inward, you go faster and you pick up speed, not outward where you actually get drag? That common sense. So, CERN should be smaller, and they just speed it up. It's just a giant electromagnet, they just speed up that fucking shit. Making it bigger ain't gonna change it. They're just making gates and summoning demons and fucking killing the world with that.
Based on established formulas.
I sound crazy.
Gravitational pull
it's honestly
between a body and an identical body, assuming your
theory. They're trying to make it Jacob's ladder. I agree with the main, not the main one, but I agree with that theory.
0.0000000017113 newtons.
It's a portal.
This number is then reduced by a factor of 4 with every doubling of distance, reminding us once again just how negligible gravity is in most cases.
This thing, it's to confuse you. If you were to sit here and listen to this, and actually go, this is my jive. Most of the people complain about the audio, which is hilarious. Which the audio seemed fine, so I think there's all bot comments, and they just couldn't think of actual real things to put.
So there is another effect that your body and all objects with mass
it doesn't seem like it's getting used to.
This topic will officially transition us.
No one wants. Who would want to watch a video? And I just feel like I should have a retard filter. I like this. I should have a hot dog too. Pocket dog.
It is merely peculiar to considering it downright bizarre. We are, of course, talking about time dilation, an effect that most acknowledge exists, yet one that is often fundamentally misunderstood. It turns out that we all experience time as moving slower or faster, depending on various factors, from our location on the planet to our speed at any given moment. In fact, once you fully grasp time dilation,
depending on your latitude and longitude, and your fate and your position towards the center, that dictates what time zone you're in. That's different. If you go around the world, though, for example, because he's going to try to say this, if you were to go on a plane, go around the world, come back, not even, you take a trip. Just because you go into a different time zone and the time zone there is different, the watch on your wrist is still the fucking same. You will never be not relative to time, nor will the watch your other friend, which would be fictitious, billions of miles away. If you gave him the only thing that's separating you is the distance. So if he started walking and you were holding a fucking watch and he had the same watch at the same times, when he got to you, both your clocks will still match. You wouldn't have gained 1,000 years because of what? Gravity, he's saying? That it can't. It's so weak though, but it moves time. That's retarded. I don't know if he's gonna go into this. It's super retarded. Time dilation can't happen, and the closest you'll probably even get to it is probably either like ethereal, somehow brain link to actually like go back into where our consciousness is actually from. That's where we go every night when we sleep.
In its underlying mechanics, it may dawn on you that the very notion of keeping time is, technically speaking, completely meaningless.
Time is, yes, a human-made up thing. And especially the 12-hour clock. It's probably, honestly, we could probably think of a better one, or I bet there was one before I don't know about on the top of my head. Honestly, we did the sundial shit, and that worked fine for us. Like, time is a thing, though. Like, you don't need a clock to show you time has passed. Like, you don't need years, either. You don't need actual... This is something that's tangible, that without actual thing... You yourself will progress in age, or things around you physically will progress in age. Time is not fucking like numbers on a spreadsheet. Just because we have clocks or watches and shit doesn't mean relative time is going to change around you. You cannot change it. The idea of time travel is bullshit, but I'm not going to go into that fucking bullshit.
Gravitational time dilation.
This is what
Now, time dilation,
watch this.
fairly straightforward in principle, summarized by Einstein's well-known theories of general relativity and special relativity. Referring to general relativity means taking into account everything we've just discussed. The phenomenon is best explained as time moving more slowly the closer you are to the center of a mass, at least according to the observer. As gravity weakens with increased distance from the central mass, the corresponding time dilation effect diminishes and time appears to pass more quickly. Therefore,
how would you know? How would they know? We don't have anything outside that. They tell us telescopes do it, but like I said, I don't believe any of that. So, give me another source. I want either a person, I don't know, another form of communication that I will trust. And even then, I still probably won't trust it. I don't trust anything from these people. So, like, even everything they're going to be feeding you is completely horgswoggle. Like, you don't trust your senses, you fucking pleb. Get back in your box and eat your goy slop.
Relevant to us, time is experienced slowest on the surface of the Earth, while those further away from the Earth's gravity perceive time a little faster.
Because they're being bombarded with microwaves in the sky. Because they're talking about someone in a plane. The most amount of radiation you're probably ever going to be exposed to. That's why people travel on planes a lot. Usually develop a lot of thyroid cancers and a lot of other cancers because you're bombarded with tons of microwave in your giant aluminum fucking tin can in the sky. What? The time goes faster? No, they're being energized by either radiation in the sky and other things like microwaves, like I'm saying. Ta-da! Like, depending, especially what kind of plane you're on, yeah, you get higher, the more radiation you're definitely being hit with. Like, it gets higher as you go up. Yep. That's not time dilation you're feeling. That is radiation you're probably feeling. The bad kind. The one I mentioned that, like, pierces your skin. The one I don't like, microwaves. Microwaves are radiation. Like the ionization shit. It either burns you or it makes you retarded. Or it makes you not have babies. Gives you cancer. Blood's giving you melanoma.
Or at least that's the way most understand time dilation, although it's a bit more complicated than that.
It's a bit more
We just
complicated
discussed
than any
how
more
all
jogging.
bodies with
No,
mass-produced
fuck
gravity
you, bro.
and affect other masses. Even
If you can't explain it in simple terms most of the time, don't believe it. It's usually bullshit, especially when you go in and take the time to learn the terminology and all the phrasing and stuff. By the end of it, most of the time, you're usually going to be like, motherfuckers are just using, that's just this, and they're just using a fancier word. They're fucking doing, because this is how they change words and change the name and stuff. It's usually in the intelligent shit. This kind of, for collegiate or something we want to call it. Sciences, math, they do it in everywhere, dude. Like, what are those? The fucking stupid brothers that were like crypto famous way back when, like 10 years ago now. One of them's still alive, I think, but the other one's dead. But like, they were doing weird papers and getting outed for it, and everyone was thinking like, oh, they were trying to point it out. No, they're just being a part of the whole mass to get their fucking MDs and shit to pass. The fact that they are able to pass a paper that's completely fraudulent is fucked up and still have an actual degree from it. A PhD.
if that effect is minuscule. Additionally, Earth's surface is not completely uniform, since gravity is based on a body's center of mass. The effect of Earth's gravity also varies depending on where you are. In essence, we are all experiencing slightly different gravitational forces, which means that each of us experiences time.
You're at a different elevation in plane compared to the ground level. Like, I'm in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is below ground level, so I'm really at the coastline. So I'm down here. So when I rise up, my ears pop. I hate it, but it goes away pretty quick. But when you come down here, you might get like swollen ankles and weird shit and don't like the air because, yeah, we're at the bottom of the valley where all the heavy metals and bullshit fucking love to collect. Welcome to Massachusetts, New England. But like, he's talking about topograph, like height, mountain ranges where you're placed on the land to the ground. That's not gravity you're feeling. That's, like I said, let's go back to buoyancy. You're higher in elevation, the air is thinner, the medium you're in is a lot lighter. Thus, you would feel a little different, besides a whole bunch of other things. We know lack of oxygen. There's a bunch of weird shit. Like, you gotta, like, take all the knowledge you learned and you have to start combining it. They don't want you to combine things and think. That's what you have to do. You just combine the things you already know, and a lot of that cancels out the things they say. And it's not like you're trying to do it. It's just like, you taught me this, and that is the truth, and that one's the truth, and that one checks out its truth. And then you're telling me that's also the truth, but then if I combine all those things, it can make that look retarded. But they cover it all in a jargon fucking tampon.
I'm at a different rate. The basic formula is that for every kilometer away from the center of the Earth, a clock will record a 24-hour period as being roughly 10 nanoseconds longer. In other words, a person on a mountain peak experiences...
This is one of those things that they're kind of doing, almost like a Mandela effect kind of program, where they're not changing things through time and stuff. No, it's not that. They're just systematically had things already out in the wild, probably with like inks they've worked on. Like the Bernstein Bears is the perfect example. They made all those books. How do we know they didn't use a form of fading ink that eventually over years all fade to a different thing? So when they all start doing the thing, that happened. Like, some people got ones that were bad batches from the factory that didn't fade away. That's why there's some pictures of that shit. Or there was like the Simbag stuff. That's all bullshit. They're not, things were made and they're just lying to us. It's easier to lie to someone than actually go back in fucking time. What the fuck? Think about that. They're not fucking God. They don't control space and time. They want you to think they are. They're not. You going higher up in the mountain doesn't mean you are becoming anti-gravity. It just means you're higher in elevation. You're fucking retarded.
Time slightly faster than someone at sea level, and this difference applies similarly to all levels of altitude, whether below or above. If we extend this reasoning out to further distances, such as the orbit of space stations and satellites, it would seem logical to assume that astronauts are experiencing time even faster. However, that's not the case. In fact,
No, it's not the case. It's relative. Because they consider live feeds and fake little CGI videos and hairsprayed women and a lot of fucking harnesses. Like, they got sued for that. They're getting sued for that, but they did. Some guy brought it up. It's a cool video. He had balls to do it. I wouldn't do something like that. I hate NASA. I'll talk shit all day because I got free speech, but I ain't putting paperwork out there for them. They'll fucking kill you. They fucking kill everybody. They kill fucking everybody. They kill everybody. Unless you're in on it, you fucking. It's weird how many fucking big nose people work for that company too. Magically, Jack Black's mom was one of the people that got us to the moon. Isn't that fun? He's an actor, you know. I can see where he got his skills. Fucking pictures with his mom in that giant book. Yep. Women doing math. In the 60s. Girl power. Boop. Wonder Woman plays out next.
astronauts
The next
on the
episode.
International Space Station actually experience time
Fucking dude,
a little
people are so
slower,
psyops
since
nowadays.
time dilation
Everything's a
is also
psyop,
a
though.
characteristic
You can't blame 'em.
of
You just gotta
velocity.
avoid everything.
We understand. It gets a little bit confusing. At this
They tell
point,
us cigarettes
we're
are bad.
examining the difference between
Very
general
scary.
relativity,
We
which
need
deals
it.
with gravity, and special
That's another
relativity,
one.
which deals with velocity. Given that the space station travels at 77...
Well, yes. Actually, I didn't think about that at all. If their magical force is magical all presence and everywhere, it's got to have a speed. You would be... Everything would be moving weird. Wind wouldn't exist. Wind would not exist at all. The wind would have to be way faster than what they say it is in order to even produce. Like, if you went by their thing and said you had, they're saying it's so late that you had that kilogram, you're just wearing it as a vest on top of you. You don't notice it; it's on you, but you will notice it because you notice that weight difference. You're like, it's not attached to me. It's not a part of me. Wouldn't you feel it on your shoulders, your back? We'd all hunch more. Like, yeah, we slouch, but that's all because we're all bad posture. We don't sit up right. Probably weren't told to sit up properly. Right.
100 meters per second relative to stationary points on Earth, velocity time dilation outweighs gravitational time dilation. As a result, astronauts on the International Space Station actually lose time, approximately
These shots are hilarious. Like, watch. Look how it-
0.007 seconds.
what are they in to be able to do this? They're going to tell you a satellite. And then you go listen to their, like, spokesperson, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and any of them, how far you have to be off the Earth to look like that. And then you realize, like, that's just, like, a zoomed out photo of, like, basically Google Maps. And then you realize, how would you be able to be going this relatively slow and doing something like this? They're either on a plane, a blimp, with a fucking, what do they call that? Something deck, observable deck, facing down like they have on boats and shit when you go out to the keys and shit.
Over a 6-month period.
But this is not even
at
that. That's
speed
like
and
fake.
altitude.
And I
So
hope
yes,
he doesn't think that
we
says
are
it's real. It's my
discussing
stock
time
photo. Someone
differences
edit
on an
that.
entirely inconsequential level, not 0.007 seconds over a 6-month period at that speed.
That doesn't make sense. So it's slower than that. Why wouldn't you give it the right speed? If it's 0.0 second. Wait, hold on. Let me hear that one more time.
Approximately 0.007 seconds over a 6-month period.
Over a what? So. When do we have weird things and we don't give it a pretty, if it's real, why don't we give it a pretty weird thing like we have pi? Like, what the fuck? Like, why don't we have a special, I forgot all the weird shit. I'm not good at calculus and all that ugly shit. I hate looking at it. But, like, why isn't there no special thing for this? Why isn't they, what is this even, when did they ever choose this? Think about it, they always had to throw a 6 in it, first off. But, like, in a 7, so approximately 7. Like, what? I'm trying to fathom the zero. It's probably over a 6-month period. Like, over, like, okay, 6-month period, that's how long it is, which that's a weird way to measure anything for speed, and then 0.007 over seconds over it. That's 6-7 bullshit. Like, it's demon goddamn stuff. Like, they're just throwing demon numbers at you and all this gobshit. Why it's not a real fucking measurement of anything. Who measures in months? And why wouldn't they just give the hours to how many months that is? I can do the math. Hold on. I have a calculator. $24 times, we'd say just 30 right across the board. Okay. And then times 6. Was that hard? Like, that's way better to look at than saying 6-month period. This is how you know it's, like I said, it's gobbledygook brainwash for them to put numbers and certain things in your face. Fucking symbology. Nonsense.
At that speed and altitude.
Who the
So
fuck?
yes, we are discussing time differences on an entirely inconsequential level, not something that humans
Inconsequential
care
level.
about. However, the fact remains that the difference is more than zero, meaning that it will eventually accumulate to a tangible amount over a sufficiently long period.
Like I'm saying before, they are using, when I got into the Mandela thing, I kind of went on a tangent and went off on it, but like, they're using that kind of idea to change the clocks. They want you to think there's some weird time dilation going on, and your clocks are just a little off all the time. We all probably have noticed it, like, magically one of the clocks you have in your house is just a minute off, but it's one of the clocks, like, it's not connected to, like, a Wi-Fi or an actual anything. Actually, it's just like an analog clock on a microwave or a stove. And then you're like, or your car. Like, my car is one of them, I realize all the time. Like, right, I don't change it either. I leave it there just to preserve, like, this is happening. Mine's is almost 4 minutes off. I thought maybe when you turn the car off or something happens like that, nope. That has nothing to do with that. The clock is physically different. It's literally 0.000 seconds every day, probably, or a second they take off the clock. But if you accumulate that, that's 365 seconds. That's well over 3 minutes. Shit, dude, that's like 10 minutes. Every year, gone. And they've been doing this supposedly, like, if you really think about it, because the seasons and how they're doing this to throw us out of whack with the seasons. So that's why everything is feeling warmer and warmer. If they did it since like the 90s, it would make sense on why we're in global warming and why is it getting cold early? Or why isn't it warm yet? Like, or why is it not getting cold yet? And then they go, global warming, let us blot out the sun with fucking aluminum. It's time dilation.
Good example is that the Earth's core is, over
Just
the
trust
course
that,
of the
bro.
planet's 4.5 billion years, about 2.5 years younger than the surface. Much more tangible is the effect of time dilation on satellites.
You gonna talk about
even though in
tachyons
many
next?
cases, the effect isn't particularly
I swear to God, if you can't talk about time dilation,
Yet
not
there is one
tachyons.
satellite that is specifically designed with time dilation in mind. GPS satellites. Referring back to those astronauts on the ISS,
Oh
a
my
GPS
God,
satellite,
bro.
like them, is subject to both
Go
general
learn
and special relativity.
easiest way if you really want to know how GPS works and all that and how they monitor and scale and figure it out. Those dudes who do the surveying, those machines, they don't work off that bullshit. They tell you right off the back it's off tower pinging. It's not satellites. None of those things work off satellites. Nothing like that works off satellites for GPS. It's different towers pinging off each other, triangulating your area. That's how they get your spot. They don't use satellites. The satellites aren't used for anything. So it makes no sense when they say satellites. Like, they say they're used for these things, and then you look into how it actually works. It's like, you think like internet or like the weird cell phones, fucking stupid shit. None of that's really that. And they're like, oh, well, they got to be using it for something. Maybe government communication, but like satellites don't work like this. They put them on giant fucking balloons. Look at this photo. This is fake. This isn't a real photo. Look at that fucking line. And they're gonna tell you this is real. Did this look like it could be traveling at like I think it's like 5,000 miles, constantly falling down and then going back up somehow? No, that thing looks like it's made of aluminum foil and like high polymer. Like, what the fuck, dude? It's like plastic. Oh, and those are supposed to be solar panels. You ever held a solar panel? They're not light. Like, they can be if you got a cheap one, but like they're usually not light if you got a good one.
It orbits at an average altitude of about 20,000
They show you
kilometers
pictures.
and
Go look
travels
up
at a
big this
velocity
today.
of around
And then they launch
22,000
them. And
kilometers
then
an
look at how
hour.
they launch them. They use
With the two
balloons.
relativistic
Then
forces
if they can use a balloon to put these things supposedly into space where they put them, then why don't we, I don't know, launch rockets with people in it like that? Save you a bunch of fuel. And all you gotta do is think of a capsule to hold yourself and put air in it. Look at me just using my brain. Sorry. And it's not even a smart way. It's just, it's simple fucking thought.
Counteracting one another, a GPS satellite gains roughly 38 microseconds per day relative to a clock on the surface. For context, microseconds are measured as a millionth of a second. However, since GPS operates based on measuring the time it takes for signals to travel back and forth, even the slightest desynchronization can eventually lead to massive...
You moved okay, like I said, they triangulate using towers. They're trying to say satellites do it. They are so far away compared to you in the ground in their relative world. It wouldn't be as precise as we get it at all. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't even work like that. It's not how. It's just radio frequency being back and forth fed to each other, and like they're just saying hello. Little handshakes are happening, and they're like, "Hey, buddy, what's up, buddy? Do you see that thing over there? I kind of see it." And then they talk to another one. And the guy, that one goes, "Hey, hello, I see that one too." And then they figure out by doing that where you are between all of them. You wouldn't be able to do that with things floating around you like balloons, or even constantly falling above you. They wouldn't triangulate you right. It'd constantly be inaccurate as fuck. Like, with their logic, that's not how those work. Go ask your local freaking construction worker or someone. Like, they'll literally tell you how those work.
Miscalculations. It's for this reason that...
YouTube it. I can, right now, watch. I'll do actually another video, because I forgot the name of the actual company, because I went to go learn how to use it, and there's a specific video you want to look up for those.
GPS satellites have sophisticated built-in error correction systems to account for time dilation, demonstrating just how big an impact even fractions of a second can have. Now, at around this time, we should refer back to our earlier comparisons of electromagnetism and the other forces of nature to clear something up. Although gravity is often listed alongside these forces, the truth is that it shouldn't be on the list at all. If it wasn't already obvious, gravity operates in a fundamentally different way. It isn't a force in the same sense as electromagnetism, but rather a warping of space-time itself. This warping effect is so profound that it not only alters our perception of time, but can also bend light, even though light has no mass. And on that note, it's time we progress from merely considering gravity as bizarre to recognizing it as bordering on the fantastical.
Gravity, not
Gravity
a
is not a
force.
force.
This is another one I thought was hilarious. Like, so you start your argument with, it's a force. Not really. No, it's not a force. It's a coronavirus, guys. Watch out, you might get sick.
The effects of gravity, they're often visualized by placing a bowling ball on a rubber sheet, with the bowling ball representing Earth and the rubber sheet representing space-time.
Oh my God,
this demonstration serves as a useful and intriguing visual aid, though it can be somewhat misleading. It fails to properly convey that objects with mass do not merely create an indentation on a flat surface, rather they
not gravity, that's entropy.
Warp space-time around themselves. This warping is what makes gravity so peculiar and distinct from the other forces of nature, placing it in a category all on
Magical black holes.
In addition to causing time dilation, the warping of space-time influences the paths of moving objects, including light.
Instead of thinking, hey, I'm using a giant digital camera microwave that's probably way outdated than I think, and I've been angling it the same spot, and as I slowly move it over and over, that same little blur in the corner of the camera keeps moving and getting bigger. And if I compile all the photos rendering from corner shots, that thing is actually moving. maybe the lens needs to get fucking cleaned, retards, or not even, like, the machine's too old, replace it. I don't know. Microwave telescopes aren't even reliable. Remember, the people that told you there's a magical UFO meteor thing with little lines on a piece of paper from Russia, and everybody bought that shit up like I did when I was younger. You stupid. Was to believe the Atari graphics. We're all being manipulated with whatever technology they have present that they can manipulate us with. Simple as that.
Familiar with light knows that it typically prefers to travel in a straight line. However, light can be redirected by physical
Yes, you can
media
reflect
such
light.
as water
Yes, you can
or
bend it.
lenses in a phenomenon collectively known as refraction, altering its direction as it follows the
water moves
contours
light.
of the warped spacetime. In the case of gravity, light changes direction not by interacting with a physical medium, but because of the curvature of spacetime itself. Thus,
Bro, he's describing electromagnetism. He's literally just becoming a retard now. So now, if you went and tried to explain electromagnetism to someone and how that worked, I knew this would get stupid to the point where I was gonna get frazzled to it. I can't even, like, what?
even though light has no mass, it's still subject.
Light can move. Yes, light does have mass. It's photons. Light can move so much. Light does a lot that we don't think about, that we visually can't see. And this motherfucker, that was his electromagnetism or light. It's not gravity. Like I said, it's either thermal, radiation. What's all radiation? Thermal, nuclear, fucking ionizing, microwave. Just go down the fucking list. I'm sick of repeating myself over and over again now.
To the pull of gravity.
Except
And when
get
you
fried
stop
from
to
doing this.
really think about that, the idea is kind of enough to melt even the sturdiest of minds. If you
This
are
is just
hoping
a
for a
stupid-
visual
I hate
demonstration
this.
of light conforming to gravitational curves, the bad news is that the effect of the Earth on the Sun's light is so minor that it's not observable. The good news is that you can technically see the phenomenon in action, but only by turning your attention to it.
The light of the sun is not visible. Don't trust your eyes. Go look at the sun. I prefer you to do it at dawn or dusk because at least it won't hurt your eyes. But, like, go do it during the middle of the day. You'll definitely catch some light rays in your fucking eyes. Oh, the ones you can't see, like I just pointed out before. You can if you only want to get, like, digital and do some fucking science, or to go pay some money for it. Actually, it's cheaper now. You don't have to be all techie with it. But you just go buy those fucking actual, like, $3,000 like SOCON level fucking night vision goggles that can do, like, everything. You see, like, it's like all spectrums of light. It's pretty fucking rad.
Astral bodies much further away and relying on extremely powerful telescopes. Gravitational lensing, also referred to as Einstein rings, has been observed.
If you know cameras and you know how to do that trick, it's basically a panoramic thing with an old camera, like a million, and that could be even just a background light, like someone's holding something. This is actually, like, it feel like a lot of this is just like post cropped in, like it's old. Because this is like one of those, oh, it's the 80s and this is a real thing. Because he's saying Einstein's ring, yeah, it's just a camera flare with another camera pointing at it. It's fun little camera tricks. How do you think Stanley Kubrick made that one scene at the end of fucking, like, 2001 Space Odyssey? Using weird shit, just slits of paper and some light and some oil and other shit. Get creative. You make some weird fucking ugly shit.
When a distant light source passes behind an enormous concentration of gravity, such as that of a galaxy. When the observer is positioned at the
Yeah, mine
right
has a
angle,
face.
with the light
It's
traveling
like Frosty.
directly to their eye, they witness the light bending and warping
Frosty the Snowman.
into a ring as the light source
They love
passes.
just throwing these, like, it's just, oh, this is supposed to be a real photo. How'd they take it? Why is it on a, like, what looks like like I said, 8mm camera? Why would they do that? Especially if they know it's a composite and this would be an artist rendition. Like, so much stupidity. Why would they do it? Like, I didn't explain how they would do this, but, like, I mean, like, why would they put it on the camera? Why wouldn't they just, like, full on, like, make it look like they printed it out from something that was shot on a big lens? There's a fucking big lens. Like, look at this flare thing at the bottom. That's not normal.
is behind the concentrated gravitational mass. As amazing as this example is, it pales in comparison to the most
usually have a fault
terrifying
line behind
manifestation
the
of
stakes
gravity
and
in the
shit,
known
like
universe,
a map.
the aptly named black hole. It's often said that even light can't escape a
Made a
black
joke
hole.
about that already.
I
These things-
probably get
the
why.
idea of this.
While a planet's
So what is it? So much gravity or not enough gravity? So when you got too much gravity in one area, because gravity now without any mass, because remember before you need mass to make gravity, right? And they love saying these are stars that blew up because that means it's a lot of mass that just spontaneously blew up instead of fading out. Become a black hole. When does something ever, open a void into nothing? That sounds like some occultic shit.
gravity is enough to deflect light, the gravity of a black hole creates an inescapable well of curved space-time. What?
They really want you to believe that you can change time somehow with fucking gravity. This magical force that only can't keep birds down or balloons. Brings planets together, but can't keep stars from, like... It's doing all this shit, but can't do all this other shit. But then it can do all this shit. It just turns off and on, right? It just chooses what to do. It's just a fucking... What's that word called? Ex machina of a fucking sci-fi movie, bro. It just fixes all.
Actually happens for light inside a black hole remains hotly debated. When too much gravity is concentrated in one place at one time, even the brightest minds on Earth can't fully explain its effects on space-time. And speaking of brilliant minds being baffled, it's time to move from a level of gravity that is merely fantastical to one that we truly do.
My bad, I was dying. Is it recording now? Okay, cool. Yeah, I had to go cough my brains out.
And speaking of brilliant minds being baffled, it's time to move from a level of gravity that is merely fantastical to one that we truly do not understand as we continue to grapple with finding answers. Gravity makes no sense on the quantum level.
They're just telling it all
Once
now,
again,
right?
when comparing gravity to the other forces of nature, and considering that gravity isn't a traditional force but rather a warping of space-time, we reach a point where general relativity stops making sense. On the grand scale, gravity is a tangible and measurable characteristic of space-time, and everything operates in perfect accordance with the established theory of relativity. However, when you zoom in and attempt to
As I keep bringing it up, and then they want to say gravity. Keep dick.
quantize gravity at a subatomic level, you quickly find that nothing behaves as expected. Quantizing electromagnetism, the weak nuclear force and the strong nuclear force, is a consistent process. Each of these forces has corresponding particles that mediate their effects in a predictable fashion, even
I told you eventually they'll get to that one thing where it's just like, just equaling each other out, just two negatives, just playing left and right, just male and female energies, bro.
the exact positions of the particles themselves aren't necessarily predictable at the quantum level. Gravity and
Then they're going to like, if you watch something, it'll do something different. I want something where I can do that experiment myself, because a lot of that shit they do.
contrast lacks any corresponding particles, at least none that have been observed, which, no matter how you examine it, defies everything we understand about the universe. The bottom line is that to quantize gravity at the subatomic level, we would also have to quantize space-time itself, rather than simply viewing it as the canvas that physics happens to be on top of. Doing so would quite simply produce paradoxes that could eventually collapse our entire model of physics. It's no surprise then that what gravity really is and how it functions on the quantum level remains one of the most prominent scientific mysteries today. This is not to say that the global science community is not working.
We figured it out. A thousand more. We figured all this shit. When we figured out how, before the ship thing, like, we figured out so long ago. And to say, oh, gravity. No, it's buoyancy. Why do you think, like, all the weird philosophers used to, like, and shit, was able to draw all those pretty little ships that would float? Because like I said, I think a lot of these Rosicrucian fucking, like, soldiers knew that the future was going to happen, so they made a bunch of shit, and that was a part of the pact and the lie and stuff to sell to the future. Like the Dead Sea Scrolls stuff that they pulled out and all this stuff that helped the lie in the narratives. That's a bunch of weird shit to look into.
Tirelessly on the problem, or the potential solutions have not
I
yet
got
been put
lost.
forward.
My
Some
kitty
of the
cat.
most prominent hypothetical solutions include the proposed graviton particle string theory and quantum loop theory. The graviton is the missing particle that mediates
The
gravity,
graviton.
and its existence would dramatically simplify our
Oh, they
current
proved the Higgs boson bullshit, right? And then it's the graviton.
confusion by aligning gravity with the other forces. At present, however,
When
this
you do
particle remains
science,
strict.
you're supposed to look for an answer that comes out and just like jot that down. Not have the answer you want and just keep doing something until you get close to what you want. That you can try to do that, but like that's usually not how that goes if you're going through like the actual scientific method and you want to try to figure something out. But if you already know or someone already figured it out and we have the knowledge, just use that applied thought to whatever you're trying. I don't remember where I was going with that one. That one, this is fucking retarded to me. I've said it a billion times. You probably make a drinking game out of me saying it.
With no confirmed evidence of its existence. Now, we don't have time to explore the complex layers of string and quantum loop theory in detail, but it's
All
safe to
theories,
say
like I
that
said,
although
it's
supporters
imaginary
exist for
bullshit to make
both,
people
they
just
too
sit down
remain
their
hypothetical
calculators.
and are far from being universally
Like,
accepted
quantum science is
as
such a waste
definitive
of time to
answers.
even look into.
Regarding
I read
how far
ever
we
as a
are
young
from
kid in
that
high
definitive
school
answer,
looking into all this shit, thinking
that's
it's cool,
really
finding
hard
it
to say.
fun, sitting there
Some of the
watching
scientific
lectures.
community now
Cut that
suggests that
fucking whole
quantizing
thing.
gravity might
Doctor
be impossible.
something.
Instead,
To talk
it's
about black holes,
proposed
you probably
that
find
to fully
12 years
understand
old.
gravity, we may need to develop an entirely new model of physics, one that seamlessly combines the grand scale.
No, we don't. Buoyancy works. The density of the object defines the relativity of said object in the medium that it is sat in. Well, presented in. I put a piece of wood in water, it floats. Drop a piece of wood, it goes on the ground. I have a balloon full of helium. It doesn't even want to touch the water, it wants to float. Boron, that will even sit on top of the water, but it's a gas. Found its level. So do a lot of these heavy metals we all breathe in, like brake dust and all that shit. That all sits at the bottom. That's why you like the whole old school joke of where the valleys come from. Like the poor people live in the valley, and the rich people live in the other way around. You know what I'm trying to say? The people at the bottom of the gully, rich people at the top. I think the oblongs kind of idea. Honestly, it's why it's because Bill Gates and all of them say that because they're higher in elevation compared to certain people. They're always going to be higher in the elevation place on a map compared to wherever the poor people are being dumped on, for example, with chemtrails. That's going to be one of those things that will find buoyancy. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean the gases aren't there. Heavy metals float down.
With quantum scale into a comprehensive, all-encompassing hybrid system. Jonathan Oppenheim, based at University College London, is developing just such a theory, one he believes could revolutionize physics as a whole. He argues that unifying concepts traditionally regarded as connected yet fundamentally separate is the way forward. According to Oppenheim, my best guess is that the next theory of gravity will be something that is neither completely classical nor completely quantum, but something else entirely.
And who is he? Like, this guy? Just some random dude. I mean, he's good at his profession, but like, what is the profession when you do this stuff? Either you're a glorified science teacher and you're just really into your hobby, and you go to like seminars and shit and talk to other science teachers, or what? Like, what are you doing? You just push your calculator harder? Like, when these people say solve a problem that's supposed to be solved, my question when I always see that is, how do you do that? Like, even when you go to look at a problem that's meant to be solved but it doesn't have an answer yet, is it because it's so big, or is it because it's not solvable? It doesn't make sense. You can't. That means you wrote it wrong. Like, I don't, or overthinking things gets no one anywhere. Too much macro thinking and too much micro thinking are two shitty things to do. You have to find a good intermediary of those thoughts. And they want to talk about combining two different sides of something and making it work. How about your brain and make that work? Like,
Physicists are
Well,
only ever
maybe
coming up with
not,
models
like,
that approximate
like this
nature.
has gotta be
But
like,
as an
I
attempt
hope a
at a
child.
closer approximation, my students and I
Probably
constructed a
adult
fully
men
consistent
probably
theory
like
in which
Star
quantum
Wars.
systems and classical
I really
space-time
like saying Star
interact.
Wars because
We
this
just
is
had to
the kind of
modify
shit Star
quantum
Wars
theory
people
slightly and
fucking
modify
love because they
classical
don't
general rings.
comprehend even the physics behind a fucking lightsaber. How that fucking beam of light that just stops. Cool. Well, first video in a while. Happy New Year's.